And it's intercepted. It's intercepted by number 22. That's Clifton. He's got the left edge. Turns on the Jets. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play. Up to a running back. That's Ferrante over to the right side. He comes back up the middle. He's got room. One man to beat. He turns on the Jets. There he goes. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Football with Coach Val. I'm your host, Gil Valtiera, the voice of Calaveras football. This episode, we dive into a new topic, which is spring and summer football. I want you to please welcome my guest today, current head varsity football coach at Calaveras High School, Mr. Manny Mossa. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I think your crowd's bigger this time.
Yeah. Well, when they find out I have coaches in here, they all show up. They were waiting 45 minutes before start time at the door. I'll tell you. Coach, everybody seems to think that football starts in the fall, but you and I know that's not true if you're a football player, is it?
No, it's not. We've talked about this before. We love football. We love the game. There's never enough time in the week to finish everything we need to finish. We're never where we want to be. But I will say, when football's over, as a player, go play another sport.
Yeah.
Play another sport, basketball, wrestling, and then in the spring, honestly, become a three-sport athlete. I mean, that's what I would like to see. But if you're not playing a sport, yeah, we want you in the weight room.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're here for today. We're here to talk about spring and summer football. Coach, why don't you give us a brief introduction and summary of what we're going to be discussing, and who's the main audience here? Who should be really paying attention to a lot of the content we're going to talk about today?
I think players and parents. Parents are so involved. They have to drive the players to practice, to summer ball practice. Our school schedule. We're not at school every day that we actually have practice or games. We have different breaks and things like that. So,
right.
It's a grind. It's a grind for both player and parent. Players really grind it out. If you want to be good, it's going to be a grind. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it's a grind for the parents too. Parents work and they're trying to get off work to bring their kids to school and get them to practice at 3:30 and. Summer ball will be a little bit later, obviously. We'll go about 5 o'clock, but it's a grind for everybody. But it's necessary if you want to be good.
Right. Now, you talked about earlier, I'm glad you brought it up about being a three-sport athlete. Myself, I played football in the fall. I wrestled in the winter. And then when the spring came, I ran track. And I felt like, my favorite was football, obviously. I love being a football player. But wrestling helped me be a better football player as far as teaching me, center of gravity and leverage and being able to kind of get into guys and weight distribution, all that good stuff. Track taught me how to run faster, how to run properly. I thought I was a fast runner until my track coach says that's not how you run. And he taught me how to be faster. Yeah. So there's lots of different sports there that actually can help you be a better football player. You probably played more than just football, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think wrestling, which I did not wrestle, I wish I would have. We always say it, wrestlers, they're our best tacklers.
Yeah.
They're not afraid. They're into one-on-one situations, and they have no problem getting low, getting to the ground, and taking somebody down. I did both baseball and track different years, and I think this other sports, you just get different things out of them, and I think if you're just, one sport, one type of training all year round, and that's going to burn you out, and that's my opinion.
Right.
I I know football seems to have a break. A lot of the other sports don't. I mean, I think, you got baseball that goes summer, fall. You have basketball that goes through the summer. And I think you need a break from football. It's a very demanding sport, mentally, physically. I think a break is good. But, like you said, playing other sports, it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's only going to help you.
It's a lot better than sitting at home being in front of the TV playing video games, right? So you mentioned earlier, well, if you're playing a sport, great, but if you're not, you need to be doing something, right? And let's start with the spring. So, when spring football comes, it's usually short-lived. It's not very long. But during that time, whether it be just that week or a few days for spring ball, what are you looking for to, as a coach and from players, what are you looking for during that time to see? Does that tell you, like, who's intending to be out coming next year? And what are you looking for during that moment?
Yeah, all of the above. As a coach, and this, right? There's no football on right now. Right? What's next? NFL draft.
Yeah.
We're jonesing for it. we haven't had football in, 2 months, 3 months,
The moment the rain stops and the sun comes out, I'm starting to, let's go.
Yeah, so, spring football, we're ready to get back on the field, and like you said, what players are coming out? What have they been doing? How have they grown mentally and physically? We're really looking to see what we have for this coming year. And, I think for me this year, this would be my first spring ball practice as a head football coach. And really, I'd like to just get the practice, how we practice, how it's going to be, get it out of the way, right? We're going to learn it. We're going to know how to do it. We're not going to wait until we come back from school and we start our practice to figure it out. Now, we're going to have it figured out in spring ball, and then we'll hopefully run that into summer ball and have some 7-on-7s.
So your basic, like, systems and processes, this is how we line up, this is how we warm up, this is what we do. What's the dress code like that week? When a guy shows up and maybe he hasn't played, but he's planning on coming out this year, what should he be dressed like, ready to go when that time comes?
Short shirts and cleats. And we'll anybody that wants to play, we'll take care of them. We'll bring them in. We'll make sure we get them Calaveras football shorts, shirt, and obviously, and this, I want to look like a team. We don't have to be the best dressed, but we are going to look alike.
Gotcha.
No one's going to stand out. We're going to be one team.
Okay. I think that's great. And then so when spring comes and goes, it's going to be here before you know it. The next thing you know, school's over. We get into summer football.
Mm-hmm.
When summer football, so roughly, you don't have to give exact dates, but roughly when summer starts, and then August will be here before you know it. When does that start? How does all that begin to look like? What's your expectation around that?
Yeah. It's not as long as it seems. When school's out and we start summer ball, I think we only have 3 weeks before the dead period. When the dead period hits, we can't do anything, with footballs, no, nothing like that. No pads or anything. So, I think it's a short 3-week session. We get into the weight room. We make sure the kids are lifting the way we want them to lift. We throw the ball around, we have a little bit of fun. We know it's season's coming. It's going to be a grind, and we're a running football team. That most people that play us, they know it, but summer's our chance to throw the ball around a little bit. Let's see who can catch, who can move, who can jump for a football. We get the linemen skill challenges and competitions, try to get them after a little bit as well. And I think it's having some fun just as much as going to work, and really trying to get better. And, it's just preliminary,
right?
We're just out there. We're kind of moving around a little bit. We're all getting our feet wet again, like we do every single year. And then once dead period hits, dead period is short. I think it's 3 weeks, and it's basically 3 weeks of scheduling, making sure we're dead on, making sure kids are good. Hopefully grades are good.
Right.
That's the other surprise that we don't want when we come back from break or from summer break. But Yeah, it seems far away now, but once it hits, it's going to be quick.
I'll tell you a quick story about summer weight training, and I think we need to spend a little bit more time, Coach, around the weight room.
Mm-hmm.
When I played football in high school, I had a couple guys played with. They were identical twin brothers. Mark Els, I forget his brother's name, but it was Mark and his brother Els. They were identical twins. They had same obviously body types, everything, and they worked out together. And they're at the end of their junior year, they showed up at summertime, just the same as they've always been, kind of tall, lanky, kids, good athletes, but nothing that you were going, oh, watch out for that guy. Well, they both hit it hard in the weight room. Every time I was there, they were there. They were there before me. When I got done with my workout and I was ready to leave, they were still there. And those guys, I saw the work they put in. Most of it was around power cleans. I mean, those guys power clean themselves to death. And the size and the strength and their agility and just everything that just happened to their bodies in a very short period of time over that summer, their senior year, they had phenomenal years. And as a younger player watching those guys, I was like, whoa, I guess that's what it takes. I guess that's what you have to do if you want to be successful. You can't just show up, wish for the best, and then hope that I'm successful come the fall. These guys had a roadmap. They knew that they were going to put in some work, and that's what it took.
Yeah, I agree. I think the seniors, it's on them to show the younger guys how it's done. How to put in the work. I mean, let's face it. We've all been in this. We ran the weight room, and you look around, and guys they're not doing it.
Yeah.
And then once you get a couple of those seniors, sometimes juniors in there that they know how to lift. They know how to make sure, hey, we're lifting to get stronger, not just to be here. Then the younger guys, they start taking to it, and then they start seeing advances, right? They're moving up weight, and all of a sudden they feel it too, and they're figuring it out, and it's a chain reaction, and that's the goal.
Yeah,
that's what we're going for.
And I would like to think, like for me, when I was coaching, when we're in the weight room and we're lifting, I want to see guys competing.
Yeah.
I want to, even if it's with themselves or with their partners, I want them, trying to beat their personal record. If your buddy's lifting 10 more pounds than you are, I want you to work to try to get past him. Have some competition in your heart and in your mind, even when it's just around your weightlifting program, because then that translates later in the fall as far as being competitive of how badly you want to win.
Totally agree. I mean, I'll give you a story / example. In between my 8th grade and freshman year, myself and my buddy Rick Parker from, I lived in Tulare, played football at Tulare Union High School my freshman year before I moved up here to Calaveras. And Rick Parker's dad, Richard Parker, great guy, coached me in Pop Warner, God rest his soul. He was a football coach, coached at COS, got drafted by the Raiders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, blew his knee out, never played. So we're 70s here. But he knew what it took, and so we over the summer he made sure we were in the weight room at the high school with all the other kids, most of them seniors, juniors, and Rick was a bigger guy, and I wasn't very big, I was pretty small, skinny guy, Rick, my buddy Rick was a bigger guy, but we hit the weights hard, and we hit it real hard, and I was always trying to catch him. I knew I'd never pass him.
Right.
He was well above me.
Right.
But man, when I got close, I let him know. We were the competition.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's gaining and he's 35 pounds above me. And I'm like, oh crap, man, I'm never going to catch this guy, But like you said, competition.
Yeah, that's keeps you going.
That's what it's about. And we're not in the same bracket.
Right.
I was 110 pounds my freshman year.
Yeah.
He was probably about 165, 170,
But you're the dog on the track chasing that rabbit.
You darn right.
I got something I'm going after.
Yep.
I love it. I mean, and that's what it's about. It's about finding something to go after, setting a goal for yourself, and going after it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all too often nowadays, kids, players are a little unsure, like, hey, well, I'm not lifting as much as that guy. Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Lift as much as you can and do it consistently, and you'll see the gains, and you'll be where that guy is.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It's just going to take time.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought up the whole 8th grade to 9th grade year, because I'm not ashamed to tell you that's when it happened for me too.
Yeah.
So like at the end of like when I was in 8th grade, I guess puberty hadn't hit for me yet. I was a late bloomer or something. But I left the last day of school in 8th grade, and I was literally like,
See you guys. Have a nice summer.
and then I came back after a summer of just kicking ass in the weight room. And first day of school, my freshman year, I was like, let's go. Let's play some football. So yeah, I mean, it can have an effect on you, right?
That'd be an effect. Yeah.
So with all of that, what's the overall goal? Summer program, these guys in a weight room. You're the head coach. What do you want to see out of these guys?
Yeah, we want every player to get in there. I mean, number one, get stronger. Be stronger. You know, we're going to learn the game of football. We're going to learn how to block. We're going to learn how to catch. We're going to learn how to tackle. But get stronger. Help yourself out. I mean, that's number one. You know, and I think that's the hardest thing to do is to get stronger.
Right.
You know, that takes the most work.
Right.
But if you do it, all the other things that come with it. You know, learning how to tackle, how to run, not fumbling the football, catching the football. I mean, you know, big, strong kids, and they can catch the football even though guys are hanging on them. Blocking, tackling, all of the above. You know, I think it makes all of that easier.
What about the guy that goes, that all sounds great to me, but once I get in there, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience around here. These guys are looking like they know what to do. I'm a little intimidated. Where do I start? Should I even show up? Because that's how I feel. Well, what do you say to that kid?
Nah, you know what? That's the great thing about having those. Obviously, we have coaches in the weight room to help out, but you also have the older kids, you know, the seniors and the juniors who have been doing that, and they should be there to help out and to encourage as well.
Gotcha.
Because it is, you know, you start doing cleans and squats. When you haven't done it before, it's different.
Right.
It's going to take a couple of weeks before you start to figure it out. And then once you figure it out and you got you got the system down, then now you start getting stronger.
Right. The one thing I would say to all you young guys out there that are going to hit the weight room this summer and get ready to play for Coach Mossa is besides getting bigger, faster, and stronger, one of the things that weight training does for you is it keeps you on the field. It prevents injuries. And I think that part of it gets missed a lot because everybody's worried about how much I'm benching, how much I'm squatting, what's your number. But the very fact that you're going through the process and the system and doing all of the exercises and consistently showing up and getting it done, you're building your body to the point to where now it could withstand the contact of the game of football. It could withstand the things that you're going to ask it to do come the fall. And now instead of worried about, you know, in week 2, I'm hurt and now I'm going to miss half my season, because you did such a good job in that weight room, you know, you're going to be fine. You're going to end up playing all 10 games because your body's prepared for it.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. And you know, look, injuries they're going to happen, but I agree with you. The kids the players that hit the weight room and hit it the right way, hit it hard, summer, previous, you know, before the summer, those guys are usually on the field majority of the year.
And it's funny how it works out because you look at it and you could tell, like, you know, at the end of the season, who got hurt. First guys that get hurt are usually guys you haven't seen all summer long.
Yeah. The little things, you know, the twisted ankle, little things like that. You know, those are the things that you hit the weight room. Those don't happen as often.
Right.
You know, you're able to power through those.
Right. And it's all about getting your bodies prepared and ready to go.
Yeah.
Anything else on the weight training program and the summer program that you want to mention before we move on?
I think the biggest thing is consistency, you know, making sure you show up. You know, if you show up a couple of days this week and then one day the following week, you're not going to see any gains and you're going to wonder, why am I doing this? You know, I think you got to try to be consistent, show up every day, you know, and then when you're in the room, when you're in the weight room, hey, look, we're there to work.
Right.
You know, if you're there to bullshit,
Yeah.
You're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
We're there to work.
Yeah. And you've only got so much time. I mean, there's only so much weeks during that summer process before the season starts and before now you're like, wish you could get back in the weight room, but that time has passed already. And so you got to take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah. And look, I couldn't tell you the number, but I guarantee you every year there's guys at the end of the season when the season's all done or when it's close to done, or maybe when they lose a starting spot toward the end of the year, are thinking to themselves, I wish I would have hit the weight room harder in the summer.
Right.
It's too late by that time.
Right. So don't be that guy.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Show up to the weight room and get yourself ready and your body's prepared. You need a ride, call a buddy, find a way to get there.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, how bad can it be? You show up, you hit the weights hard, you get stronger, you look good, you look better, I mean, hey.
Only good things are going to result from it.
What's wrong with that?
That's right. That's right. Coach, moving on, let's talk a little bit about communication and responsibilities. Back in my day, a player wants to talk to me, he had to come talk to me or call me or do something. Now there's so many different methods of communication. What's your preferred method of communication from players? You want them to call you? You want them to text you? You want them to email you online? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Snapchat? Can you what does Coach Mossa expect from his players when it comes to here's how you communicate with me?
Oh man, I tell you, these guys, they find new ways to communicate.
Smoke signals are out up on.
I love Huddle. We communicate through Huddle. Very easy way for us to communicate with the whole team. All the guys have my phone number. They're more than welcome to call or text anytime. And it's funny, communicating through the summer. Look, I get it. Parents want to take vacation, especially if kids, let's say the kid's a 3-sport athlete. They don't have any time, right? Summertime's the only time. So
right.
I get it. We want you here, but I do understand. But come season, come our first day of practice, communication is a big deal, but man, there's very few things I really want to hear during the season from a kid. But hey, see you at practice, coach. Honestly,
right.
You know how it is. We coached together for years, and 4 days to prepare, and that's not enough.
No,
never is, never has been. So,
ready or not.
Yeah. And so, you have a player that decides maybe they can't make it because they're feeling a little bit tired that day or something. Well, they not only missed the day of practice, and they missed a whole session, whether that be offense or defense, special teams, film. They missed a whole session, and let's face it, Thursdays are walkthroughs. So we really only got 3 days to prepare. They missed one of those 3 days. That's 33%.
Right.
I mean, that's just... That makes it really tough to be able to get that player on the football field.
And in fairness, you can't go back and hold up 30 other guys, Absolutely. Right? I mean, you got to move forward, and you're right. Then that's going to affect, I want to run this play. Oh, I can't put you in. You weren't here that day. I put that play in.
And it happens. It happened all year last year. We for the most part, our guys were pretty good, but we had some guys that were right on the verge, and a couple of players that were right on the verge of getting in there, and all of a sudden they missed a day. And it wasn't for, like a doctor's appointment or something that legitimately excused, it was, mom wouldn't let me show up. Well,
right.
That's not a legitimate excuse, that all these other players are here, next man up mentality, someone else got in, they took a spot and they got his reps that week,
right.
And so I think that's why I do believe, football is a grind. You have to be there every single day. And which is why I'm okay with kids going to play other sports, checking out a little bit after the season, get your marbles, get your bearings, rest up, do some other things, experience some other things. But when we get going, it's on.
Right. See, I've always felt too, a part of this, where I think it's important is I've always said we do more than coach the X's and O's and teaching the game of football. We teach these young men how to be accountable, how to be responsible, how to be where do what you said you're going to do and do it, right? And how to be where you say you're going to be and to be that responsible individual. And if you can't do that for basic things in high school, like showing up to practice or communicating with your coach, most likely you're not going to do it later in life. And let's face it, you can't not show up to your job all week and then show up on Friday and go, "Where's my paycheck?"
Yep.
Right? You got to go to work.
Yep. No call, no show. You're fired.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the real world works. I mean, it's.
And then what? And then it's like, I'm still living in mom's basement, or not right. I mean, so like usually bad things happen when you don't take care of your responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so this is part of learning how to build those responsibilities.
Absolutely. That's the other thing. My door's always open. I'd love to hear from you in person, face to face, if possible.
Right.
The whole text messaging thing. You have to.
Right.
You got to be able to take a text message.
Right.
But telling your buddy George, hey, can you tell Coach I'm not going to be at practice? No, that doesn't work.
That's what it's something you bring that up, because I was just about to ask you, can one player A come in and say, "Hey, Coach, player B, he's going to make it today"? That's a big no-no, right?
That's a no-no.
Right. Player B needs to step up.
Yeah.
And call coach, text coach, and take care of his own responsibilities.
Player B has a cell phone. Player B is at school. Player B knows when I'm going to be at the school. And there's no excuse whatsoever.
Right. And I think when they learn those skills, it becomes like muscle memory. Because then it's like, if I have to be accountable to you, then I have to be accountable to my teammates. And then, I got to be accountable for my schoolwork to my teachers. I got to be accountable to my parents. I got to be accountable to now my new wife and my new family. And as the years progress in life, I have to learn how to be responsible and be accountable. And it all starts right down here with the easier stuff.
I agree. And, football, too, it's so much face-to-face interaction, and let's face it, anybody can get on the computer, type in, say what they want to say, good, everything's fine, done. I can say anything I want to say. No one's going to say anything back because I shut my computer off, But yeah, I think football, you're face to face with your coaches, you're face to face with your opponents. There is can't shut your computer off when you're on the field,
right?
I dig it. I like that part of it.
I like it too, and it's, to me, it's a small part. It doesn't seem like much, but I think it's the little things that turn out to be big, huge, things later in life. And so make sure you call coach if you're not going to be available. And in the summer program, there's not that many of those days. So you really got to try to be there the entire time, because you're missing out. Because what is it, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
Summer?
Yeah.
3.
3?
3 to 4 weeks. Yep. 3 to 4 weeks. We got a dead period that starts early July.
Well, but in dead period, you can still lift.
You can still lift. Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Pretty sure you can. You just can't have any equipment.
Right.
We'll bust out the CIF rules.
Right.
I'll be talking to CIF guy here pretty soon, and we'll get him on the podcast, and we'll get him going. So Coach, let me ask you. I mean, we're already, we're talking here now. We're recording this podcast. We're looking at this weekend being Easter. April is on the horizon here. Spring ball hits, summer ball hits. We hit the weight room. You blink your eyes, and we're in the first week of August and worried about an opponent already. It's going to happen before you know it. During that time period, between now and when that first week of August comes, what would you say is what would you want to see from each and every one of your players? What do you want to see out of them?
Oh man, all kinds of things. Interest, I think, is the number one thing. Current players, potential new players. I mean, we want interest, man. I love this game, and I think the majority of the people that actually give it a legitimate shot, they end up loving the game as well. You find out a lot of things about yourself through a season of football. I think, as coaches, they're gonna push you to limits that you don't believe you have, that you don't believe you can reach. And that's kind of our job. And we'll go over the limit a couple of times. It's gonna happen. We're gonna push you past your brink a few times, but more often than not, the player realizes, hey, I can do this, and then all of a sudden they hit a new gear. And they're ready to go. And now they're ready to play. Now, okay, that was last week. Now we got this guy right here, man. He we got to get him to pick it up a little bit, And I don't know. I think from a from a coaching standpoint, there's just every day of practice, there's so many things we look at, so many things we feel like we need to try to make better. Try to coach this guy up. Hey, let's try to work on fundamentals with this guy. Hey, let's work on this guy just relaxing a little bit. You know what I mean? And there's just so much to do, but when it comes together, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it doesn't all have to come in. It doesn't mean it's a win.
Right.
Either. It's just when you start to see, last year we seen it. It took a while. It took a while last year, but we started to see the team come together. We started to see certain players really take it upon themselves to know not just their job, but to make sure they knew what everybody's job was, and make sure we were lined up correctly and we were running the correct play. And there's nothing more satisfying than seeing guys get better, and you just like to see it a little earlier than what we seen it last year,
Right.
Which is the whole meaning of spring and summer football.
To get ready and get yourself ready as soon as possible, so you can start seeing the rewards from all that hard work sooner than later.
Exactly.
A lot of what you just said reminded me. We in the last podcast, we actually called an ex-player. You'll remember him, Tanner Josies, and he works for Cal Fire. And one of the things he just said, what he said to us during that podcast was the teamwork that he learned during football, learning that he had to be accountable, be there. Even on days I don't feel like it, he knew he didn't want to let his teammates down, so he'd be there, right?
Yeah.
And now, as an adult and in the work he's doing, he's climbing up grades of hills with a team that he works with. They have a job to do to help, put out fires and do the things he has to do. And he uses those same skill sets that he learned in football. And it's like, yeah, this isn't fun, but you know what? We have a job to do. We have to get something done. And so to hear you say like all those things about putting it together, it reminded me of like hearing him talk. And it's so satisfying to hear a player later go, yeah, you're going to use these skills later in life. All this work that you put in now, it's going to sink in and it's going to help you later. Yeah,
Josie's, he was a player. He was a gamer, man. Every week he was there. I don't believe he ever missed a single practice. Played injured. Yeah.
Hard worker, and he's still doing it now for Cal Fire. So God bless him.
We've talked about this before off the air here, but it's really great to see a lot of the players that we've coached see where they are now.
Yeah.
They're in prominent positions within different communities, and it's that is real satisfying.
It is to
see, and a lot of credit goes to mom and dad and grandma, grandpa, but it's good to feel like we take a little bit.
Let's add Calaveras football into that mix.
Just a little bit.
Give us one little slice of pie of that. Just one little slice in there, the Calaveras football. Yeah. We've got episodes. We did one, is where are they now? And we have an ex-Calaveras football player on the podcast. We did one with Donovan Jean Gregorio, who's a wrestler over at Oregon State.
Yep.
I've got a couple more players lined up that have agreed. So we're going to have some more of those where are they now lined up, and they're doing great things. And you're right, it's good to see them do that.
I think it's great. Me, it took me a while to have my first kid, but I felt like I had many boys before that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're already mentoring kids long before you even had your own.
Yeah.
So with all of that, let's put it all together. You go spring ball, summer practice for the players. Anything else on the football agenda during this time that you want the folks to know out there that's coming up? I know we got quarterback club dinner, those types of things. What do you want to say around that area?
Yeah, absolutely. We usually it's the first weekend of August. We'll do the quarterback club dinner. Had a great time last year. Brought it back for the first time, I think, in 4 years. I think it was, and had a great time. A lot of help. A lot of people willing to help. Players were there. We had quite a few players were there. I think we had about 25 players show up to help out, which is great.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. We're trying to raise money to help with gear and equipment, and obviously the increasing cost of everything. I mean, it's football.
That's one of the things people say, well, the technology is much better. Yeah. And, when I played football, I think helmets were $100 and now they're like $600 or something like that. So
$550, $600 for a good helmet.
For one good helmet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to ask these guys to really do a lot. We want to try to equip them with the best equipment we can possibly.
You bet.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think the fundraising wise, quarterback club dinner is the one main thing. We'll do our youth camp, of course. I think that's a great deal right there to have a little camp for the youth players and coaches, which is crazy. I don't know if you heard they had to shut down their online enrollment because they were filling up too fast.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw the posting.
Yeah. The interest in our Calaveras football programs right now, I think, are just great.
That's fantastic.
Great.
That's great news.
Yeah. So one big happy family. I think I said it back in February whenever we did the first podcast. All the youth coaches, high school coaches, we all get along. We're open door policy at the high school. Anything you guys want to know, anything you want to sit in on a practice. I don't know. I love the feeling that I see going all the way down to our youth program right now. JV team, youth program. It's a football community, man.
It definitely is. There's a lot of meshing going on for all of those of you out there listening to. The voice of Calaveras football is going to be PA announcing a lot of those home PA games there. I talked to the powers that be there, so we got that going. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be fun.
See that up-and-coming talent doing their things on Saturday afternoons and evenings.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, I like what I see down there.
So speaking of players, we don't have much time left, but let's talk about a couple players. Yeah. I know from calling the game on KVGC radio for the Calaveras varsity football games, whole lot of fun watching the games and calling the games, doing that. And one of the names I talked about a lot was Monzo, the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I know last year in the beginning kind of struggled a little bit. The whole offense struggled. And then he started to find his rhythm. And then later in the season, especially against Argonaut, he had a pretty darn good game. So as outside looking in, now that I'm not a coach anymore and I'm more on the other side calling the game, I look at now this JV quarterback who's pretty darn good coming up to the varsity level. Monzo's coming back. Coach, are we going to have a quarterback controversy going in the next season?
I hope. I think sometimes competition creates controversy, so we'll see what happens. One thing I'll say about Josh Monzo is from where he started to where he ended. I would call a play wrong, he'd catch me on it.
Nice.
Yeah. He knew the offense like the back of his hand. And when we, again, coaches make mistakes all the time. When he started to play defense, I think it was second from the last game, third from the last game. I feel like he got better on offense.
He had a monster defensive game against Argonaut.
Yeah. He really stepped it up. And, obviously.
You think that helped calm them down on the offensive side?
Maybe he wasn't on the sideline thinking too much, maybe. But you know what? He's a player and he's a gamer. He's a big, strong kid. I think offensively, like I said, he really learned the offense. He knew we have a lot of formation adjustments, and very rarely were we out of formation. He didn't catch it.
Right.
Yeah. So he's going to be a big, big player for us this year.
So the young man coming up that's gonna push him. What's his name?
The JV quarterback was Cohen Curran.
Okay.
Yeah, Cohen Curran. He's a gamer. I coached him at the youth level the year prior. He's a gamer as well. Throws the ball very well. Very athletic for a young guy. Doesn't get rattled. I'll give him that.
That's a plus for a quarterback.
Yeah, it doesn't get rattled. They didn't throw the ball much last year. But yeah. I think he can definitely come up and he can compete and throw the ball around. This summer, and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, I think anytime you can have competition where they're both kind of going after it, that's only going to help the whole entire team get better.
100%.
Nice. A nice little homage to Coach Clark. Coach Clark, where you at? No, all right. Well, we tried.
Not here.
So, yeah. So I think I'm excited to see how all that washes out, and I think no matter what, like I said, it's going to help both players. It's going to help the entire team, and I think it's important as coaches that we teach these players. Not just the X's and O's and positions, but sometimes players have to play roles. You're a heck of a defensive end. You're a heck of a defensive end. You're a heck of a running back, but the team needs you in this particular spot, right? To play a certain role.
Yep.
And sometimes that can be a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes that happens in life, right? I'd like to do this, but the team needs me over here. What would you say around that area?
I mean, I think every important game, every big game, that happens.
Right.
Maybe you take a guy out of position, but he can really help you stop a certain play they have, or maybe on the offensive side of the ball, that they're not going to have an answer for this if you can put them here, and happens all the time.
That particular week, we need you on this end because you're so tall, and that's going to blow up their offense. And
yep, yeah. I mean, as you go through the season, hey, coaches are smart. All these other coaches, they're smart, so they're going to do their best to take away your best play. So if you have something you can throw in there that is off of your best play, or something in a different formation that maybe they don't really have a defense for, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Right.
And if you get the players to buy into that, willing to do whatever it takes, you got yourself a winning team.
There you go.
Yep.
11 guys unselfishly giving it their all to help the unit.
Yep.
Just be the best it can be.
Well, and here, let's talk about this. You want to talk about being unselfish, at the running back position.
Yep.
This year. I mean, we have returners. Ferrante.
Yep.
Had a hell of a year last year.
Heck of a season.
Reckless, I call him.
Reckless?
He runs the ball exactly like you as a coach would like him to run the football. I mean, he sees the seam and he hits it, man. I love it. Caden Spur. He played fullback. He played a little bit of U-back. Smart guy. I mean, he's gonna be a 3-year varsity player.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Cody Paulson as a sophomore last year. We brought him up. Big, strong,
big
kid.
guy.
Played a lot of linebacker. Didn't get as much time in the offensive side of the ball, but big guy, right? I mean, we want to get him in there, get him some reps. Ryan Clifton.
Wow. The
sophomore, right? I mean, he had a hell of a year before he got hurt.
Right.
Ethan Ayala. He's able to play this year.
Right.
The JV team coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of players coming up. There's going to be a lot of competition, and I love it.
Right.
I love it. I think that right there, the competition level is going to really what puts Calaveras football back on the map, because that's where we need to be.
Right.
We need to be the team that other teams don't want to play.
Right. So I'm glad you brought up Ferrante, because as the play-by-play and announcing the games, I said his name a lot during this past season. And what would you say to a young man like that who had such a great junior season going into his senior season? Because we've seen it before in past years as coaching, all the years we've been coaching, where a kid will have a great junior season and then all of a sudden senior season just kind of seemed average. Yeah. And it was usually, I don't know, it was just they didn't work as hard, or they didn't show up to the weight room, or what would you say to a kid like that that says, hey, you have to, I think Coach Anderson always used to say, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Now, one thing I'll tell you, I don't think we're going to have a problem with Ferrante.
Yeah.
He's a hard worker. I don't think that's going to be a problem. His priorities they're straight. They're good.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem either.
Right. But I will speak from experience. For myself, I had a better junior year than I had my senior year.
Right.
And I think it had a lot to do with my junior year was good, and in between my junior and my senior year, a lot of other things. A lot of other things you can do. I didn't hit the weight room as hard.
You're like, I got this. Yeah. I felt pretty good. I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and so, and this is my opinion, too.
Right.
I just felt like I didn't do as good as I wanted to do my senior year. And again, too, by the time you realize that, it's too late. You got to be in the weight room, run track, do wrestling, run some, do some other sports. You got to stay active, and you got to continue to work.
You got to stay hungry.
Before.
Exactly. You got to stay hungry.
Yeah, I think that's probably a much better way to put it.
Yeah, you've got to stay hungry and realize that yeah, I had a great year, but now I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I got all these guys up on me trying to get carries for me, trying to get my spot.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of hungry, you know, I think that's one thing I've told a few, you know, me and you've talked about it before. You know, I think last year, you know, the year started slow, and we finally started figuring some things out. I don't think any of our players thought that we were going to make playoffs, and I think the fact that we made playoffs and we actually had a pretty good chance of winning that first playoff game against a very good Union Mine football team.
Right.
I think we're going to have a lot of hungry guys. I'm fingers crossed. I think this season's going to be a very hungry season. I think guys are going to really come out of the woodworks ready to get after it.
I think so. I'm excited. I look at the new dynamics because it's going to be a new motherlode league. It's not going to look like the way it used to. Be sure, folks, to tune in later in the year as we get closer to the season. We're going to have a podcast on just a review of the 2024 new Motherlode League. We'll go over every team, their coach, their record last year, their top players, and even prognosticate how we think things are going to wash out as we get towards the end of the season. So it's going to be really exciting seeing the whole new Motherlode League. We're almost out of time, Coach. Any parting words on everything we talked about as far as spring and summer football and players and all that good stuff?
No, I appreciate you having me on for this because sometimes, you know, players, parents, we don't think about spring, summer football. We don't think about playing other sports, and a lot of times we really don't address it until it's too late.
Right.
So I like the fact we're addressing it right now. I really hope our weight room is filled to the brim this summer, and both JV, varsity football players are just hitting the weight room, man. I mean, that's really what it's all about. Get ourselves ready for the season.
You bet. You heard it, guys. Get in there, get to work, get yourselves ready for the season. We're fired up. We hope you're fired up. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I want to thank all of you out there for listening. Thanks to Coach Mossa for taking time out of his busy schedule to be here today. And remember, if you have any questions or like to address any comments, questions, you can follow us on Let's Talk Football with Coach Val on Instagram or email us at gilbertvaltierra@gmail.com. Until next time, we are out.
Intercepted. It's intercepted by number 22. That's Clifton. He's got the left edge. Turns on the Jets. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play. Up to a running back. That's Ferrante over to the right side. He comes back up the middle. He's got room. One man to beat. He turns on the Jets. There he goes. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play.